man, I could mess it up like that.
There's two different humans, young Mickey Rourke and old Mickey Rourke. Here's a guy who's this world-famous, amazing movie star, and an interesting movie star, like a really good actor. And then all of a sudden, he becomes this crazy guy.
Earlier this month, he was arrested outside his sister's restaurant in Miami.
You know, I've told so many people in Los Angeles to kiss my ass and to go fuck themselves that I'm basically blackballed here.
Yesterday morning, Mickey Rourke was rushed to the hospital.
And then I realized, man, I gotta change, or I might as well just blow my fucking brains out.
1981. Lawrence Kassad's Body Heat premieres to critical and commercial praise. The film stars William Hurt, Kathleen Turner, and features a small appearance by a then unknown Mickey Rourke.
If you want a little more, splash a little accelerator around.
While he'd be on screen for only a few minutes, the casting agents would notice his charm. Soon, the offers would be piling in.
Well, I got probably 6 projects lined probably way into 1986.
Folks, you've seen our next guest in such wonderful motion pictures as Diner, Barfly, and
9.5 weeks. Mickey Rourke and Kim Basinger are the stars of the film, which is supposed to be the most scandalous major movie in 15 years in Hollywood's history.
This is his arrival.
Yeah, this is his arrival film.
This guy is an A-list performer. I mean, he is terrific, and he delivers here.
At the height of his 80s fame, Hollywood was up for the taking. And yet, with this newly acquired fame, some personal issues would start to interfere.
I was not professional, I was not accountable, I was not responsible, I was late, and it had to do with old issues of shame and abandonment and feeling small and insignificant.
A lot of this anger got projected onto the Hollywood lifestyle itself. The people seemed fake, insecure, and the films, well, a lot of them seemed meaningless.
I think the people in Europe have a real appreciation for what acting is. And I feel here it's all fluff. You know, it's all like money and hype.
In his search for real cinema, he turned down quite a few blockbuster roles as well. Films like Top Gun, Platoon, The Untouchables, Dead Poets Society, and the biggest grossing film of 1988.
You know, Dustin Hoffman called me up one time, wanted me to do Rain Man with him. My head wasn't even, it was like, okay,
But that would be the least of his worries. With his latest focus on European cinema, he'd also star in a controversial role of an IRA terrorist. This wouldn't just deliver a flop of a film, but highlight his own personal flaws, like discussing sensitive political problems he himself didn't fully understand.
His politics were a bit wishy-washy. He wasn't really that aware of the situation, so I think he annoyed a lot of people in Ireland because he took positions which he probably hadn't really studied.
In addition to controversial statements, he had also donated £1.5 million to a known IRA terrorist and got a tattoo of the organization's symbol.
I was being sympathetic toward my character, and it got blown out of proportion. And I wasn't educated enough in any way to handle the consequences of what was, something very volatile at the time.
Well, thanks very much for putting me in this predicament.
I didn't realize that if the UK didn't buy your film, it could hardly work.
He would try to blame the film's poor reception on one of the most influential studio executives, Samuel Goldwyn Jr., and by doing so, he would pretty much get himself blacklisted from the studio's future films. Because of this, his future role options became limited, and the films that he did star in, well, they were flopping.
This really pisses me off.
With a streak of failed films, a growing dislike for Hollywood personas, and a blacklisting of top production heads, Mickey needed a change.
A real, live, tough guy with a thirst for reality. The 34-year-old actor found it last week in War Memorial Stadium in Fort Lauderdale against a tattooed auto mechanic named Steve Powell.
Boxing to Mickey wasn't exactly new. He had already fought as an amateur before and has been practicing while preparing for his role in Homeboy. This time though, it wasn't to prove anything, but rather to regain some self-respect.
This is something I do for myself, and I don't do it for anybody else. I do it for me because it's a time where I can feel like a man. And lots of times in the movie business, you're treated like something else,
The thing was, his fights were mainly seen as fixed, or not that entertaining to begin with.
I have seen faster hands, yes.
Mickey Rourke is not a fighter. He's a hell of an actor.
But that didn't really bother him.
People can say all they want, but I got the to get up there and do it. So, But it's just something I needed to get back to for me, so maybe I can continue doing the acting.
Sounds like,
the reason you continued acting is because of those obligations, and if you could, you'd just jump into this full time?
Oh, you bet your ass, yeah, I would, yeah.
And that would be true. He would focus on fighting, and by doing so, he would turn down what probably could have been his most famous role, playing Butch in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction.
No, my first choice was Mickey Rourke.
Instead, he would do free straight-to-DVD films, and those were done purely for a paycheck. Most importantly though, while boxing, he'd also destroy his good looks, which helped him get his roles in the first place.
Well, I had 5 nose operations, it broke my cheekbone, I had 2 concussions, broke my hand. My hands just never be the same, probably.
With a growing list of injuries, he'd finally reach a point where boxing just wouldn't be possible.
The doctors told me,
Oh, really?
Look at your neurological. I said, I can't even see it.
You can't fight no more. That's what the doctor told me. He said, there's something wrong with you, inside your head.
So now he couldn't fight, and with a constantly changing face due to numerous facial surgeries, his chance at a movie career comeback was quickly fading. In his own words, he hit rock bottom.
The wife leaves, the house is gone, and the movies are gone, and you're going, oh, I got to move somewhere, and it's like, and you are alone.
Having lost seemingly everything in his life, he was forced to look inside and deal with the demons that he had. After some time, with the help of therapy, he'd have slowly built up the tools to control himself on set and avoid self-sabotaging. With all of that behind him, he needed someone to take a chance on him, and luckily, he still had a few friends in his corner.
I just want to know if you're still a bottom feeder.
The process of working with the guys who are giving me a break, from Rodriguez to Stallone to Sean Penn to Tony Scott, it was the fact that I had behaved myself, I was accountable on time, which was only due to the hard work I put in with the therapy.
Finally, having proved that he can be a reliable actor, after 2 decades of a struggling career, he'd get his second break.
I know exactly what I gotta do.
His role of Marv in Sin City would prove that his acting skills haven't disappeared, and he only needs a role to fit his new persona. And pretty soon, the right people would notice this.
My agent had said, oh, Darren Aronofsky would like to meet you. I thought, wow. So there was a meeting. But I think before he hit the chair, he went into, you ruined your career for the last 15 years. I'm trying to do a movie with you and I can't raise any money. And then he says, if I do this movie with you, you're going to listen to everything I say. You're going to do everything I tell you. And you're never going to disrespect me in front of the crew, and I can't pay you. Listen, I want to do it. I want back in FanFest. Just tell him it's back on.
He is now back in movies with a vengeance. He stars as Randy the Ram Robinson, an aging wrestler. His work in The Wrestler has been called iconic, magnetic, and the performance of a lifetime.
Only a fiercely honest actor could be so effective as a guy who hasn't had it easy, but who's clearly learned the value of a chance at redemption. We're better off having you in the ring. Welcome back, the returning champ, Mickey Rourke.
The role of Randy the Ram would earn him a BAFTA, a Golden Globe, and an Academy Award nomination for Best Performance. While he wouldn't win it, he would definitely win over the hearts of Hollywood.
There's been a very long road back for me.
While it seemed his comeback was certain, it wouldn't last long.
I came back for like 2 years, and then they put me on the shelf again.
In a few years, he'd be back to doing B-movies and getting himself into different scandals. He'd also make his infamous boxing return at 62 to fight in a fixed matchup. Following this, he'd try to stay relevant by appearing in different reality TV shows, stirring up drama. At the end of it all, the highs and the lows, much like his most famous character Randy, he'd have to accept that changing his ways is just not something that he could do.